So I'm going to talk about mental health and isolation. This is quite something that I've learnt with my life. When I lived back home, I didn't have any peace. Even when people left me alone, I was still aware of everyone around. And it was really hard because you've always got the phone just about to ring. You think someone's going to knock on the door any second, someone's going to ring any minute. And I used to find it hard to get some real headspace to sort myself out. And I think a lot of people are putting cities on purpose and towns and tower blocks so they never find out who they are. Because when you're living with one eye on everybody around you and all the things going on around you, you can never really come into yourself unless you've got real strength of character, and I don't. So I'm one of these people that needs isolation, no friends, no partners. And I think a lot of people who are writers are like that, and artists, you see that a lot of them will go to a retreat to write a book because they can't be around people because it's too distracting. Now imagine, and some of you probably do live in tower blocks and cities where you never get a moment's peace. Even when you turn off your TV and turn off your lights, you've still got lights coming in from outside, and you've still got the external noise that's going on all around you all the time. And it's really difficult to find actual silence. And so some people have to find walks like this. But the problem is, I'm lucky because there's umpteen walks like this up here at the moment because we've got the right to roam as well. But when you get down to a city, you're so limited for that space where you can just go and be alone. And so people tend to do the same walks and go into the same locations, but then you're not truly alone. And that's why people have to have holidays to go and get that headspace back. And everyone does it in their own way. So some people need the seaside. Some people have to go and lay by a pool and sunbathe and just have a drink and just switch off. But people like me need to just get the hell away from everyone. And the older I get, the more I can't cope with people. And it's becoming more and more of a thing where I can understand what a true hermit really is, because I never used to get my head around that. I used to think, why does somebody just not want nobody at all in their life? They must be so lonely, they must be bored, they must have mental health problems. But do you know what? I think you've got less mental health problems when you are on your own, because you're not dealing with everybody else's. And if you're surrounded by people who are all struggling, how can you thrive? It's so difficult to sit there with a big smile on your face going, I'm happy, I'm so glad, I'm so grateful for my life, when you're surrounded by people who are depressed, angry, not well, poor. It's very difficult, because if you're an empath especially, because you've absorbed their energy, and then you start to feel empathy for them and sorry for them, and then you start to feel their woe, and then you wear it. And people must think I don't love my family, or I'm not really into it, sort of thing, but it's not the case. It's, for me, and the way that my mind works, I need isolation and alone time. And it's becoming more and more apparent that I think I've always been a hermit, and I've never had many friends. And when I have been with someone, I've usually attached myself to that person very quickly, and they've become my everything very quickly, but I haven't been their anything. And then you get to an age where you think, I'm not playing this no more. If it's not mutual, I'd rather have nothing. But when I was young, I used to cling on to people that didn't really want me, and it was more of, I just want somebody, one person, rather than a whole group. And when you think there's so many people trapped in these, like, especially the housing estates, and I'm talking about the council ones now, and I'm only using this as an example because I was brought up in one. Because everybody who's there is a mixed bag. They're not all workers. So you've got people who go out and work really hard, and they come home, and people like that generally are more quieter, because they're more they want to come home and just put their feet up and just chill out. But when you've got people who don't work all day and they're on benefits, and it's not all of them, because I wasn't like that. When I was on benefits, I studied and did voluntary work and stuff, and my garden. But on every estate you'll find there's a very small minority who will spoil it for everybody else because they don't have any respect or appreciation for other people's lifestyles, and the fact that they have to go to work, and the fact that they just want a quiet life when they come home. They just want to sit in the garden and have a cup of tea, listen to the birds singing. But not everyone respects that space. And when you're surrounded by people like that, it affects your mental health. And I remember where I lived, it wasn't that bad really, considering how it could have been. But I do remember having the odd neighbour, and one of them had a dog that they kept outside all night long, and they never let it in. And all it did all night was bark, bark, bark. And it's one of those noises that when you hear it, you can't stop listening to it, and then it starts to aggravate you, and I can't switch off. When something gets stuck in my head like that, and then it became an annoyance, and it just made me feel angry, and then I started feeling angry towards the neighbours, and they were completely blissfully unaware that their dog was screaming and barking all night, and they didn't care anyway for the neighbours. And then you had those who'd, on occasion, decide they're going to have a party till early hours of the morning, and there's always somebody who's got to be louder than the next person so you can hear them over the top of everybody else. And it was stuff like that. And then at the back of my garden we had this little run that went down past a beck, a little stream, and you'd always get the teenagers going up and down, charging up and down with those really loud motorbikes, you know, they've got to make them as loud as possible so everyone can hear them, and they just want you to know they're there. And it was stuff like that. It used to drive me insane, and I think I just can't take it anymore. And when I've lived somewhere and I've had to deal with other people's stuff all the time, and my head starts caving in, if you want to have the end of all your mental illness, I think we all need to live like them over there. So I don't know if you can see it, but behind me I can see 6 houses, and they're all spread so far apart that you know you could live in any one of those houses, play a piano, sing at the top of your voice. You can make as much noise as you want within your house, and you're not going to hurt no one because you're so far away from each other. And that's how we should all be living. And every family should have their own little space, and there's enough land for everybody on this earth. And it's a lie. The overpopulation myth is a lie. It's all a lie. Because if you come to somewhere like Scotland, or you go up to the Pennines, go to Wales, there's vast amount of land. And if somebody goes, well, you can't live there because it's too barren and that's not true. Because the council estate that I lived on used to be the moorland. They can build anywhere. You know, they can build on the bottom of a mountain, they can build anywhere. It's a myth that there's not enough for everybody on this earth, and that's what winds me up, because you can see that it is all deliberate. And they want us all on top of each other, so we're all angry with each other, and we're all falling out, and we're all making each other angry. You can't have an hermit living next door to a party animal. They do not mix. And you can't expect somebody who's outgoing and who loves loud music to never listen to loud music or have a party. But this is why I think they do it all on purpose, and this is why I don't like council estates and flats and stuff, because it's just a case of here's the key, move in, and it don't matter who you are. And you're all different personality types in a small enclosed space, trying to live in harmony with each other, but you're all going to aggravate each other at some point because you're all so different. And it's very hard to be in a neighbourhood where everyone's respectful of each other, because it only takes one person. It only takes one person on the street to bring the whole street down if they decide that they don't play by the rules and they don't care about anybody else. Now, one thing I have found is when it comes to mental health, I think a lot of us hold it in and we numb it down, and that's why we get poorly. I think a lot of illnesses are caused by mental health that has been subdued and not dealt with, because we play down how we feel. How are you today? Oh, I'm good, thanks. That's your standard answer, and you feel like you have to say that because otherwise you're going to be annoying. People don't really want the answer, they just want the small talk. Just tell us you're all right and that's fine. But you know, when you go somewhere like this and you're on your own and there's no one to take you away from anything, so there's no distraction, all your mental health problems come to the surface. And this happened to me when I lived in the forest for 6 weeks. Do you remember when I was homeless? And I was living in my car and in a tent for 6 weeks. Oh, it was bad. It was really bad because all the demons came out of me. And I remember sitting in the forest at night on my own in the pitch black thinking, I'm so terrified of what's around me. And then at some point in that journey, I realised that the only thing that I was scared of was me and my own mind, because I was conjuring up all the darkness around me, all the things that were lurking there in the shadows. That's coming from my own mind. It wasn't coming from anywhere else. And so, oh, midges are out. So it was really, really difficult. But do you know what? It did me the world of good. And I'm glad that I never told anybody what I really went through there, because if I had done, they'd have got me straight up and got me straight back home. You need to go to that dark side, and you need to go into that dark place and find out who you really are. And you need to let it all come to the surface, and then you need to let it out. So you need to go somewhere where you can have a right good cry. You go somewhere where you can shout. Do whatever it takes and get it all out. But you know, I have found that right now, this is the happiest I have ever been in 55 years of my life. And I don't have no one. I don't have anybody up here that I can go out for a meal with now and go and celebrate my books, and I've got nobody to hang around with, just the dogs. And yet I've never felt so happy in my life, because I've dealt with the crap and I've found out who I am, and I've realised that all the outbursts I've been having is the internal me dying to get out. And she's only come out in little spurts here and there and then gone back inside herself because of the shame of daring to speak my opinion or stand out and say I don't agree with things against people who you love as well. But I've come into my own power, and it's like, I don't know if it's the age that I'm at or the location or a combination of the different things. But I feel like I can finally be who I've always wanted to be, and that is somebody who vocalises how she feels and says, I'm not tolerating stuff anymore. I want what I want, and it doesn't matter if you don't want that. You don't have to be part of it, but this is what I want. What I want is for more people to have what I have, which is that peace and that privacy and that place where you can go and be alone and just find out who you really are without all the distractions, because people need it. And too many people are drinking and eating and smoking weed and stuff like that to try and block down the feelings, because they come up and then they frighten you because you're like, crap, I can't let that out, I need to hold it back. And the only people who feel free to really let some really crap out are the bullies, because they're the ones who don't have any restraint, but they've got more mental health problems than everyone, because you wouldn't want to bully somebody if you was happy. If you're living a nice life and you're getting what you want, why would you want to hurt anybody else? So bullies hurt more than anyone. But I'm not dealing with all that crap anymore. I have taken it all on because I've had enough of people, and enough of people thinking that their pain deserves to be thrown onto me and other people who are innocent, and then making us wear it, and I'm not doing it. So everybody needs a house like that. And if you want to live in a community, build your own and put your houses next door to each other, but choose who you're with. And we deserve that. And if we had that, I think there'd be more peace. I really do. Because most of us are just living in constant conflict with neighbours, neighbourhoods, communities, cities, towns, horrible man-made laws. Look at all the like the ULEZ stuff, all the cameras and stuff going up. People can't afford a car anymore down London and other places because of the charges that they're putting on people to drive their own car, which is absolutely disgusting. I don't even know how to stand up against this, to be honest. I've done what I can do for me, but this is why I want other people to join me, and the right people. But there's so much going on in there on so many multiple levels, and it's a spiritual battle that we're in as well. So you're not just dealing with your own mental health, you're dealing with things that are getting thrown at you from forces that are unseen. We don't even know half of who's behind stuff, like the stuff that they spray on us. You know, we're like ants in a little flipping ant farm, and they're spraying stuff on us to experiment to see what these chemicals do to us, and they're killing off the food supply and everything else, and they're admitting to it now. But what's it doing to your mental health as well if you're getting all these chemicals poured at you from the water, the food, the air, and horrible people around you as well? So yeah, I just thought I'd have a go with that. It's starting to get a bit breezy, so I'm going to come off now, but tell me what you think. Do you live in an isolated place, and do you think that everyone should have a chance to live like that, and how can we do it? And do you think that allowing yourself to have a breakdown, if you like, I call it breakthroughs, not downs, but do you think they're a positive thing and stuff like that? And is it good to go to the dark side of yourself and find out who you really are and deal with it there and then become the best version of yourself? Or just tell me your thoughts on things anyway. But I'm going to go now, and I will see you next time.